me just, in fact, before we speak about something else with Karabo Khakha from the DA, she is the national spokesperson. We just, good evening to you. Thank you so much for coming through. We're talking about the shooting incident in Philippi yesterday, and quite concerning, listening to what the brigadier has to say, that this is an area that's densely populated, lots of smash and grabs, and describing the circumstances, that in and itself is quite scary. What do you know as a Democratic Alliance?
Firstly, hello Osbonke, thank you for having me, and good evening to your viewers. So there's a lot that we know, right? Part of why the Democratic Alliance for years has been asking for the devolution of policing powers is so that we can have the administrative and the physical boots power to deploy people in high crime hotspots such as your Philippi, right? Because what the city of Cape Town with the Western Cape government have been able to do is to have LEAP officers, but their power is limited. They don't have the power of the SABC itself, right? And so it would be great if provincially we would have that mandate ourselves so that we can maximize the deployment of people there. What Ian, Lisa and Nicholas experienced yesterday is nothing new. There's nothing special about what happened to them yesterday, painful as it is. The bottom line is that many of the people who live in Philippi themselves are experiencing that on a daily basis. People are scared to buy cars there, and those who live there, they're scared when you park your car, is it going to be there or not? And you have that element of crime. But then on the other hand, you have young people who are living in such poor communities who have rendered themselves hopeless. Essentially, they say they know nothing else other than substance abuse and crime for survival to put food on the table for themselves and their families. So while we are combating crime and working hard to make sure that we are able to get justice for people, there's also the other element of social development, of economic emancipation that still needs to be addressed, just so that we're able to see less and less young people implicated in such incidents.
So one would ask, and I ask this because it was a question for me, right? They're going to Philippi. Does Parliament not provide security?
So they were on a private oversight. So there's always a difference when there is a parliamentary oversight that is organized by the portfolio committee in Parliament itself. You always have protocol officers. You always have the traffic officers, the police following you. So you really, really genuinely do have a whole lot of protection going in there. But ordinary oversights, so if I wake up tomorrow morning and decide that I'm going to go to TUT and there's a strike in Dijafat, I'm on my own, because members of Parliament are not afforded that. The only people who are given 24/7 security are your ministers and deputy ministers and the speaker and the deputy speakers, them. So so they were on oversight, and in fact no South African should be scared to go anywhere because they're scared of dying. But the unfortunate reality is that particular portfolio committee, the policing portfolio committee, in order for them to expand their understanding of the scope of oversight they need to make and what interventions SABC must hear from Parliament, they have to find themselves in such areas. Obviously targeted, because it's very easy to see that these people are not from here. And they're probably using a GPS around, and obviously if there's Haudula, I keep saying, as a black child who grew up in a township, my mom still lives in a township today. Each and every township has those gangsters that we know in each and every street. We know who they are, right? Sometimes they get arrested, sometimes they're not. But when you live there, there are tricks that you understand about how to maneuver the system. But if you're from outside, it's very difficult. So it's not just a Lisa, Ian, and Nicholas experience. It's an experience, even I as Karabo, going in, I get to be Philippi on an ordinary day because I don't live there. And even I could easily fall prey, as is the case with people who work in the transport industry. Ubers don't want to go there. If you have to go to church, maybe in Philippi, or you have a funeral, or you have family or friends that you want to go visit, if you don't have your own way of traveling, the Ubers will tell you, I see you lap, or forget about it.
Wow. And I suppose it's something that we can speak about even at length at some other point, but it seems there's another storm brewing. Listening to what you had to say earlier on this morning, following the appointment of the administrators to SETAs by the current higher education minister, you're unhappy. Why?
I'm unhappy because I'm sure with all the unemployed people in this country, with people who have been honest public service deployees, there's so many of them that can be rooted out, that can be approached and asked to serve as administrators. There's absolutely no need for the ANC and the SACP to take an approach of recycling cadres who have already been proven to be implicated in forensic reports that point out to the mismanagement of funds, to corruption and potential fraud. So when you look at the SETAs themselves that Manamela wants to put under administration, they do need those interventions because life is not working out there. That there's a whole lot of corruption. Whistleblowers have even been chucked out of the system. We know what the work that Oupa has been doing in trying to shine the spotlight there and making sure that we find arrests. And so the Auditor General itself has also done extensive work in showing how over the years the performance of the SETAs has been terrible. So we do need intervention. The question is, who do you choose for these interventions? Oupa Nkoane is a former municipal manager of the Empuleni local municipality. There's a forensic report by Karabo that implicates him and 12 other officials within the municipality of mismanagement of 872 million rands, and it was in the early between 2017 and 18 and 19, and in 2019 the Democratic Alliance in Mfuleni requested that this person be dismissed. So in that forensic report, the body itself details very extensively that even contracts that were flagged that were supposed to be terminated, that some of them extended without making sense of the problem. So he's certainly not your guy as far as an administrator to take to a SETA that is already battling corruption, fraud and maladministration and a lack of service delivery as far as the mandate of skills development is concerned. Number two, you have Karabo Masoga. He's not only a former MEC of the ANC in the Limpopo province, he's a former deputy speaker of the provincial legislature in Limpopo, but also former CEO of the Makado Musina Special Economic Zone. That zone has another forensic report of a communications contract that existed during his tenure as CEO, amounting to 4.4 million rands. The forensic report conducted by Mora says he and another gentleman, whose name I've forgotten, they went about backdating dates of when the project itself started. So the project was supposed to start in June, which it started soon, and they said no, it started in January. They're backdating payments to justify six months worth of payments for things that didn't exist. That report is there forensically, and the provincial department of the provincial government in Limpopo has sight of this forensic report, and they're supposed to action it. That person is not your guy. The third person we're dealing with here is Zukile Mvalo. Zukile Mvalo has been the Deputy Director General for Skills Development in the Department of Higher Education for the past 8 years, since 2017. All 21 SETAs in the Republic of South Africa have been accounting to Ntate Mvalo for the past 8 years. He has seen report after report of whistleblowers complaining, some who have been dismissed arbitrarily. He has seen Auditor General findings on supply chain management deviations, on how contracts are awarded without justification, some are awarded, some are withdrawn without justification. He has seen reports that detail how there is fruitless and wasteful expenditure in the millions of rands with each and every SETA. We don't even have a single soul behind bars who has been held accountable. So even now, even now, the last meeting that the current administration portfolio committee on higher education and the National Assembly had with the Auditor General, it was again flagged that SETAs don't have service level agreements. There is no consequence management in place to make sure. So how is that man who has sat idle for the last 8 years, presiding over 21 SETAs, how is he miraculously one day going to wake up and now become an administrator?
Now, the minister, right, was a deputy minister for quite some time, and you know, some would say he would have been aware of what you're raising, but then you've written to him. Have you received a response, and what becomes the way forward?
I haven't, sitting here, coming into studio, I haven't read any email that came from him. I haven't received that email, and it is very important that he responds to that letter, because as much as I wrote the letter on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, there are thousands of other South Africans out there who are making the same call to say, withdraw these appointments. They do not make sense. You can't have a recycling of compromised cadres from one unit of government, whether local government, provincial government, or another entity, and rechannel them backdoor into another department. The Department of Higher Education and Training is plagued with a lot that is not right, as far as the financial management, as far as leadership is concerned. Young people in this country still don't really know what SETAs are. Some are finding out for the first time that SETA exists during the scandal Young Kabane, and even now. They've never seen or heard. In my home province, in the Free State and rural parts of there, and so they're not delivering and reaching communities. And in cases where they are where they do have contact with young people, the young people are complaining about the quality of their interaction with the system. That some their certificates are never seen. Some, they are enrolled today, jiggy tomorrow you are out of the system because nobody knows or now there's a guy. Some of the SETAs don't even have a record of who received training from which SETA and which year and where are they now. Are they employed? Are they not employed? There's a whole mess altogether, notwithstanding the corruption that OUTA as one body has been able to pinpoint. So there's a whole lot that needs to be fixed. Yeah. And the last thing that we need is to have Nkabane 2.0, where at the helm of these SETAs functioning, we have ANC cadres that are recycled from somewhere else where they've proven themselves to be not useful.
Karabo, thank you so much for your time, and we'll certainly reach out to the Minister of Higher Education just to get a sense from them as to what do they say about what has been raised and the detailed letter that you also posted on your social media as well. That was the DA's national spokesperson, Karabo Khakha.